You know we love spooky things. This is why we fell in love with Michigan-based Lynn B Designs. When I popped the pumpkin spice all the things wax melt into my burner, my home was filled with the delicious buttery scent. Plus, there's the wide variety of gorgeous nail polishes with themes like Hocus Pocus and Pleasant Peninsula. All products are vegan and cruelty-free, and you can find monthly sales on Facebook and Instagram at Lynn B Designs. Head to lynbdesigns.store today. Again, that's LYNB designs.store.
We love them. We love you. It's great nail polish. It's the best I've ever used. Thanks. So we would love to chat about all of the weird that is Kalamazoo.
Yeah,
Kalamazoo's pretty weird. Pretty weird place.
Yeah, mainly due to the people. I don't think so much the hauntings, but it can be, for sure. It can be.
Krista is from there, so yeah, the weird.
Yeah. I know. I wish I could remember some of the stories my dad told me about the state hospital.
You know, I've got a friend who's working there, so we can definitely talk about that and many other things. I have a couple of great reference guides. You know, this is one, which is the Lost and Found. And I know that there's a Facebook page out there now that it's all Lost and Found Kalamazoo. There's Lost and Found Michigan, and there's people from all around, honestly, putting their 2 cents in. I have another one here, which are the products that made Kalamazoo. And if I was to attribute anything to some of the hauntings, it would be the history of products and companies and people and places that have been here with most anywhere that you go, right?
Yeah.
And not every place is haunted. That's just a mere fact. But I've been lucky enough to early on starting up my group. Are we recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've been lucky. I know. Where am I at? What? Hang on a minute. What's in my coffee? Might be a little bit of the Irish in there. I don't know. I've been lucky enough to, since we started investigating and with myself and a partner, then we started a group that I've been able to get into a few of those places. State hospital is a no-go, you know, because it's the state insane asylum. I don't know any other, I guess, politically correct way to put that anymore. It's just a crazy house. It is what it is. You know, mental health is a very real thing. I know, you know, I'm very sensitive to it. And, but that has been there for eons. It has been there for, you know, close to 100 plus years. And, to start with that a little bit, I guess, the property alone had a slew of buildings that were attached to it at the top of Oakland Drive in the hill up here in Kalamazoo by the water tower. And they're using a couple. The funny part is, as modern day has progressed, Western Michigan University has buildings literally right next door to teach classes.
It's unrecognizable to me now, that whole area.
Yeah, there's this much. You're right. And there's about this much that you'd recognize, along with the president's old house that sits on the corner.
Yep.
But I guess where I'm going with, I was able to, I want to say in 2000, very early on, that's when they still had the halfway house on the corner, which, Krista, you should remember. Okay, so they still had that. Western had started using the back property for ROTC, and it's a vast property. They also have a place called Asylum Lake, which was also a part of the state hospital. That's a whole nother thing we can talk about in a minute. But I was able to, with permission, they gave me permission to walk the grounds. We couldn't go into the halfway house, but that's as close as I came to getting into anything at the state hospital. Wow. I had read not hearsay, I'd actually read newspaper articles in the report about, you know, the patient that not really escaped, but got loose inside. murdered the nurse. I won't go into it. It's pretty horrific. Raped and murdered her. That did happen in the state hospital. You can look that stuff up, folks. The information's out there. I believe a doctor may have been killed too. My brain surgery. That's my excuse for everything for old age.
Yeah. It should be.
I just turned 61 yesterday. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. So it's got a history, obviously, and people have committed suicide there, as you're going to hear with any insane asylum. So working the property was very strange in that we collected quite a few EVPs, which there's a lot of contamination because there's sounds of nature. We're near the Oakland Drive, and then there's a Howard Avenue, which is a hill that goes down. But outside of that, we were getting voices where there shouldn't be. I discovered several buildings, what leftovers, remnants. We discovered a road that was in back of the halfway house made of red brick, and it was kind of grown over. And we're like, where did this go? And it went into the woods, and then there was a hill, and they had just pushed the building down over the back of the hill. There was no removal. It was just a pile of red brick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, how crazy, right? And as we're standing there, I'm walking the surrounding area because I call myself kind of a paranormal archaeologist sometimes. And that's exactly what happened, because I come across, depending on where you're working, you can come across, items. And this is the weirdest part. So in the Mucky area, where we discovered this hill, I mean, it's quite overgrown. We sprayed ourselves with tick spray and everything. This is early spring. And I look down and I see white porcelain literally at my feet. And I picked up pieces of it. I still have pieces of it here at the house. And it's dishware. And I was excited, like, wow, it's white with the blue striping. I found pieces of a cup. And so I collected that stuff. We did some work there, again, got some EVPs, but I went back and looked at, the 1890s, turn of the century maps that would have shown all the buildings, which they did. That's the only building. And we also found the remnants of a well. There was a well, and it had been filled in like a circular well, and we could see the outline of where the building was. It was a square. It was quite large. You could have probably parked 2 full-size cars in there, today's cars. It was quite large. And I look, and it's not on any of the maps. So I go to our historian, Farrar, and she knows, and she knows all about that stuff. In fact, she's got a collection of that porcelain dishware, like complete. It's completed. So she recognized that right away. She's like, oh yeah, I got the same set. And I showed her where the building was, and because I drew a sketch. I know this sounds crazy, but I drew a sketch. And I have a notebook that I carry when we do investigations. If anybody's curious, it's about this size. It's Doctor Who book. I'm a nerd, so it's about this size. And I keep notes and I sketch stuff if I come across things. So anyway, she's like, yeah, it's not on any of my maps. And then, her mind starts to wander, and we're sitting over some tea, and I'm starting to wander, and we both came to kind of I won't say a conclusion, but a guesstimate of what we think might have been going on there. And we know how badly people were treated in the healthcare system when it came to those institutions. Okay. We know they may have had a building back there that the worst of the worst were put back there, probably treated horrible. It wasn't a guardhouse. It was not any kind of warehouse. It does not show up on any of the maps yet. Here's dishware. So why would you have dishware in this huge building, and then you just shove it over the back of the hill when they decided they were going to start using the grounds, and then they fill in the well. So I had a water source, and it was just the strangest thing. And you had a brick road. It was like Wizard of Oz, like the yellow brick road had been grown over. So it was the strangest thing for me. I was very intrigued. Yeah, I was really going to town on this one. And we left there very bewildered. We got some pictures of the inside of the halfway house through the windows. They allowed us to, kind of walk the properties.
That's cool. Yeah.
We adjacent to that, Krista, I don't know if you remember, adjacent to that, seeing the fence that was there to the right. It had been overgrown, and it looked like they had brick grills. Like you'd have a cookout out there, and they had an old basketball court, and that's where they would take the patients, and they'd go out there and they'd have cookouts, and they, the fence was still up, and that was really bizarre too. So I found it to be what we were able to work to really be just that unsolved mystery, I guess. I wanted to dig deeper, and I started asking, hey, could we come in areas that we wouldn't interact with any of the patients, and this and that, and that. Almost. I mean, I came so close, but I well, not being in there institutionalized, that's up for debate. Listen to the silence. No, Dan, not at all. Yeah, okay.
No, it's totally,
not
you're fine.
Not you.
I have no space to. The farthest I ever got was when I was a kid to the door. That was it. We'd drop off my father's lunch, and they would not even. There were 2 sets of doors, and they wouldn't even let us into the vestibule. We had to stay on the front porch.
We I was with a performing group last year's in high school called Sing Out Kalamazoo, and we used to go up there and do shows for them, and we had to have some people out front guarding us, and we weren't allowed inside. We performed out in the parking lot. So some of them got a little weird. It is what it is. I got a little strange a couple times. But I have 2 friends who work there. Now, one is open to this. He is the husband to Deb Bresnahan. Deb's been with the group and me since day one. And he's got some strange things to tell at night, hearing things, and he knows when it's a patient and when obviously it's not.
Sure.
He's just like, I go down and I look around and I investigate and I can't find anything. That's all I know from that end. But my other friend Mike, I grew up with Mike, and he's kind of interested in this, and he was one of the few people with my sensitivity and stuff I would share that stuff with. And we grew up in the same area on Berkeley Street, 3 blocks from the castle. And he told me, he came to me, we were up watching a football game, and he came over to me and he's like, I got to tell you something, man. I've always been interested. I wasn't sure what to think of it, but they still have tunnels, okay, that they use for service underneath that locality. Okay.
Yeah.
There are others that have been bricked up, because he said that they have some bricked up, and he's been told by the old timers, old people who have retired from there, that some of them did go from there as far as Asylum Lake. Okay. That's a long stretch.
Oh yeah.
That is crazy. And so he's down there, and so some of the food delivery and stuff he does, there's several kitchens there. He retired from Art Van. It's not part of the story, but he's now decided he wanted to work for the state towards his retirement, and he's delivering food, and he hears a woman laugh and says his name, and it's not Mike, says his real name, says Michael. I guess he described it as this, like, ha, 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 Michael. And he said that the hair stood up on his neck, and he looked back behind him, and he has never moved so fast with that food cart in his life. And he won't go down there anymore. So that's the only report I have, from that, building that all up. So I've done a little bit on the outside, finding what I guess is paranormal archaeology. I finally said that without drinking. But that has been part of what I do, even here in Kalamazoo. I've been lucky to get into a lot of places other groups haven't been able to get into, or if they did after we did. And I was never out I want to make that clear. I was never out to be territorial or, always had to be the first, but sometimes it's because people. And it's who you know, and it's how you talk to people. I approached that on my show last night and said, there's a demeanor and there's a way that you speak to people, and you should always be respectful. Yeah. obviously be honest with them while you're doing this, and obviously don't bait them because you say you're going to be writing a book or you're doing a movie. I mean, that we know what goes on, but I've been lucky, I've been blessed, but the state hospital still holds a lot of strange things that I would love to do. I'd love to get in there. Like Eloise, everybody's like, well, you need to go to Eloise. Like, I'm not going in there with 500 other people wandering around. If I had the money, I'd have to buy it for the night. I'm lucky in that I do know somebody who knows the owner. So we're talking. And if that happens, I'll invite you two girls to come along. I promise.
We just recorded our Eloise episode yesterday, so it is very fresh on our minds. Yeah.
How weird. Okay. Weirdness. Welcome to 24.
I realized that oh my god. I realized that we completely forgot to introduce you.
It's okay.
So if you want to just
don't you know who I am?
Who you are? And what you do, that would be awesome. Because we just started talking and I hit record and we kept talking. So
it's all good. I'm Dan Holroyd. We've rebranded. We're the Southern Michigan Paranormals from 2008 up until this new year, and we've gone through a lot of changes. And we counted. We've done 311 investigations since 2008. That is insane. It's insane.
Gosh.
I didn't believe it, girls, and I turn and look at that file cabinet, and I still got stuff. I mean, I don't want to move the phone around, but I still got. It's I got stacks of this stuff, and that's the older stuff to still go through and reevaluate. And because I was very insistent early on that when we do this stuff, and with these historic sites or a personal client, that we were going to do like TAPS does. We get a review, we give them information, I write up reports, I make everybody who's in the group do a report. If you don't want to do it, you got to go, because that's how we operate. So, and you know who gets to do all that stuff when it's all compiled?
Yeah, pretty sure too. Pretty sure you're stuck with all of that. Yeah.
They turned me into a micromanager, but I had a good group of people. People have come and gone. It's not all my work. It's not me. I just was the guy who started the group, and I was kind of the face, and I guess that's the way the guys used to put it. It's like, you do the interviews, you do this, I don't want to do that. And we reached a point, OG, meaning that when Blog Talk Radio had started, I jumped into the ring because Ghostly Talk was the only podcast you could get in Michigan. And Greg and those guys, they're the old school, and then PAR came along, and there's some people I know there that I don't care for, but that is what it is. We know who we're talking about.
Fine.
Yeah,
we don't all get along with everybody in the community, and that's all right.
Right.
Not
happens.
Every personality is for everybody.
That's how the world works, That's how the world works. But and we did that for a while alongside of our adventures, and it was fun because, like you guys know already, being in the podcast business, and I'm starting to find now, trying to reinvent it and still do it, that we decided we were going to do shows every Thursday night. And it is a nightmare getting a guest and researching and going live every Thursday night. And I had I had to have a partner, hence you guys. And we did that for a while. We ended up on People's TV Network, which was one of the first internet TV things that they were trying, this new thing that they were going to have some of the people from Ghost Hunters International come on their program as well as us. We felt pretty, I don't know, we felt kind of strange, but we felt pretty lucky that they asked a group out of Michigan, Kalamazoo, let alone.
That's awesome.
Lori Kimberly, who owned it at the time, she's like, would you guys like to do a show? And we're going to have you on after Shannon Sylvia and her husband. And I'm like, oh, I know who that is. And then,
this is a name I know.
Yeah. And then, we got introduced through other people, and we were the number 2 show on the network, and it was fun, but it's a lot of work. I appreciate what you two do, because I've stepped back a little bit, that I just get an information sheet. I meet people, I talk to them, I interview them. I know I'm getting off track here, but that's our history. We peaked. We did that. Then two of my producers decided that they're going to go back to school, and
Oh,
yeah, we were
lot.
peaking and doing really well. And I didn't think I was going to be so into this aspect of it, and
Right.
I was having a good time because we were able to talk about what we were doing, what like you guys do. If you go and investigate, you're the group that's in the trenches. You're not. It's not a TV person who's going to tell
Oh,
you
right.
all the TV stuff. We were
Yeah.
talking about how every place wasn't haunted and there is drama and how it affects your family, all sorts of stuff. And
Mhm.
anyway, back on track. So we've been around. We did our thing. I got as big as 30 people in this group because I had some kooky idea that we could have SMP1 and
Right.
SMP2.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Way too many people to manage, way too many personalities.
That's a
And
lot.
it was a lot. And, you know, a lot of them were doing it because it was the thrill, like the ghost shows.
Yeah.
And that's how we
Yeah,
were able to
I
pull
get it.
off so many investigations because I could go to Greenfield, you know, over by
Yeah.
Detroit and do stuff there. And then the other team could be down on Coldwater or, you know, vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
We'd set them up that way. And it worked great for a while. And then I decided we got to downsize. And as I said, people have come and gone. And when you set up these things, you lose some friendships because some people,
Yeah.
you know, as we said, you digress and they change. They become, you know, they think they're a paranormal superstar. It is what it is. And I don't hold any grudges. I don't. I really don't. I got a short list. There's only 3 people on it. Okay. But I don't,
Oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, I try to be very forgiving if anything. And, that's where we are today. So we rebranded as
Cool.
S&P Investigations going
Okay.
into this year, and it's me and Shane Feek, and you guys met Shane, and Shane does some incredible work.
Yeah.
He's kind of the loose cannon. He goes around and works with everybody.
Okay.
I
all right.
like that he does that. You know, he's meeting a lot of people in our circle, and you know, I got 2 other people that I trust, and we've done smaller communities. And this year we're going to focus on some new projects. But I guess I'll shut
Sweet.
up now that I've did all that talking
Nice.
and let you throw questions at me.
I don't know.
I had a couple
Krista, yeah.
locations just because I did grow up in the Portage in the Kalamazoo area. You
Yeah.
had mentioned you did a investigation at the Beacon Club, which
Yep.
I don't know how many people really know the Beacon Club. I only know it because
No.
a friend of mine, his family, they were members, and I actually worked for his family when they owned a pharmacy, and we had our employee parties there.
What pharmacy did you work for?
Oh, okay.
Quinn's Pharmacy, but it was also owned by Westlake Pharmacy.
Oh yeah. I know that pharmacy.
Which I
How
think
strange.
it's still there, but they don't own it anymore. He retired. His
Right.
dad retired.
Well, that's an interesting location. I'm glad you brought it up because we're actively still allowed to work it. You know, the person who purchased it actually purchased it 2 years back. I won't get into things that I know behind the scenes. The person who owns it's a very good friend to me. I mean, we're like brothers. We just had a meeting the other night because he's making some big changes and some things are going on with him. And I am honored that he calls me his brother. You know, to have me come in there and sit down with him and talk to me and my wife like we're his family, and he says that, and he means it, means a lot to me. And I can't say enough nice things about Francois Moyer. You know, he's French. That's what I'll say.
And I went to his restaurant Francois for my Sweet 16 dinner.
Did you like it?
Oh, it's the best creme brulee I've ever had in my life.
Right, he still makes that. Yeah, he still makes that
Oh,
part of my haunted dinner. Yeah.
Oh, I need to go. Okay, we need to go.
We gotta go. Well, you can
I'm
come
down.
to the Beacon too. I want to
Oh,
set
so
up
good.
some things at the Beacon, you know, and which has now been rebranded a la Ferme, which is the farm. And
yeah.
Okay, cool.
so it's
Okay.
farm to table freshness and food. He's kept the roasted chicken on the menu because that is a very, you know, the Beacon Club's history. So that is a very historic thing that Evelyn Ferris Mahoney kept. That's how they bought the place, and that's how they kept it as a private dinner club. But that was their main thing, was their chicken. They became famous for their chicken dinners, and so us working that. The short of it is that I invited Tommy Amongst the Tombstones in. Tommy does a YouTube channel along with his buddy Randy's Real Paranormal. Now they operate very different from me and other people. And, I brought him in thinking, we'll see if something happens, because I had some things happen. We'd literally had a baby carriage, which we thought we would catch it on camera, but the camera was just out of sight. Isn't that how it always goes?
Yes.
I went and took a break, and we were in the back room having pizza, because I'm literally probably half a mile from my house, where I live that close to it.
Wow,
and
nice.
I'm up near Northern High School. So if that tells you anything, I'm right down the street.
Oh, yeah.
And so, we're taking a pizza break, and a young man who joined the group with his girlfriend, Jeff Smith, great investigator. He's just eager to help and eager to go at it. And he goes to use the bathroom, and he comes back immediately, like he hadn't even gone a second. And he's looking at us, and we're like, what's wrong? I thought maybe somebody got in the front door or something. Maybe we didn't lock something. And he's like, did you guys move that baby carriage? I mean, he was scared out of his wits. I could tell. And I'm like, no.
Maybe he didn't need to use the bathroom anymore.
He didn't. He can't. So I went out there immediately, and it literally have moved 6 feet, and it was underneath the staircase. Francois had it sitting there, and had been pushed up against the women's bathroom door. And so we go to check the footage, and we see him walk around, and he's in sight of the camera, but you can't quite see under that section of steps. So we knew then that he hadn't touched it. I can see him the whole time.
Yeah.
I do see a shadow movement. We do see a shadow movement, and I can't explain it. The carriage moved. I then took a friend in there, Cynthia Morrison. Her family owns Morrison Jewelers. I grew up with her and her family. And as we were taking Cynthia through on an investigation, I'm behind her with the camera, and I also caught an EVP saying, help us, as we were going up into the attic. Now, on Tommy's video, I ask your viewers, go check it out on YouTube. It's Tommy Amongst the Tombstones. And it's called Haunted Bar. And we're in the bar section of the Beacon Club, and you're going to see some pretty interesting, if not, I'm not going to use the word fantastic, but again, my hopes were maybe he'd have a little something happen, and it was like a 3-ring circus. And I also caught something on video that I didn't expect, because we had caught a picture. One of the team members had taken a picture from the dining room looking into the bar room door, which is like this little square door or window. And and it's not pareidolia. Okay, I know the difference. I've been doing this long enough, and I look at it. I blow it up and look at it closer. It is a woman's face looking at the crew. Literally, a woman's face.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, okay, I'm still moved by this stuff. I'm still like, holy cow,
Yeah.
So I immediately pull up pictures of Evelyn, thinking it could be other people that have worked there too. And I match it to a picture of her and her husband on the couch, and it looks like Evelyn Ferris. And big guess, but that's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
And why? And then so when we're there months later with Tommy, as I'm filming, the guys are to my right, and as I'm filming and I'm moving across with my camera, I catch something in that window from the other side, and there's a dark shape, and it's moving, and I can see it looking at us. And as I'm panning to the right, and I go back, it dodges and ducks down.
Wow!
It's crazy. And you'll see it on the video. And he's got a lot of EVPs, and there's EMF movement all over the place, especially in a section where there's no electricity. So there's motion sensors going off. So if I'm to tell you anything, it's a haunted location, and we are going to do some work there, and it's great. So I can give people the history. I know that's why you asked me on. So
Well,
live.
both. We're
I don't know
yeah,
too much.
We're happy to just hear stories.
So
yeah.
David Smith built
I
the
don't know
place.
anything.
Yeah, he built the place, and it's in and around 1850. They do not. They can't even. I went and looked at the records, and for the land plat or the plotting on the land plat itself, it's circa 1850, 1852. Nobody has a damn.
Yeah.
I guess that's as close as they're going to get. But we know that that house, that structure, which is underneath that, is original, and that's when it was put there. And then it became the Carneys. He sold it to, the Cobbs. I'm sorry. The Cobbs ran a farm there until they decided that they were going to leave. They sold it to a family called the Carneys, who he became a senator. And there are pictures that we used in the video we have of the daughters in one of the main fireplace rooms, which is still there. So, yeah, it's beautiful. There's a spinning wheel. So they lived there for many years. And then after that, Evelyn and her husband in 47 came across it, and they started selling chicken. They made it a bring your own booze type of thing because Prohibition had finally done its, gone to an end.
And finally died.
Yeah. And they had put in an airstrip, which is already going on there, in the 30s, and planes were coming darn close to the house, and this is where they added on. Yeah. So she thought we got to come up with something. So they put a beacon on top of the house and they renamed it the Beacon Club.
Oh,
and that's why it's Beacon, because they didn't want planes crashing into the house. And it's still there.
Don't hit our house.
Yeah, don't hit the house. I don't think you're going to win a chicken dinner if you crash into the house.
It's pretty close there. Yeah,
it is very close. In fact, right next door, they had a plane go down in that field right next to him a couple of years back. So, no, he survived. Everybody was good.
Yeah, I hope so. What a weird, maybe that was too close to build your airfield. Maybe we put it a little bit further out of town. I don't know.
No.
Well, this is a segue, I guess, into the other part to what I think is going on there too, is their property and part of their farm in the backyard, right around the corner. They used to be called Pioneer Cemetery, and it's now Indian Cemetery. And because those pioneers buried themselves on top of the Native Americans who were in that cemetery area.
Oh.
And behind that is now like this landscaping company. They go back there and get gravel. They took out all the woods. Now there's a big lot of woods back there, but on the other side, that's all gone. And we know that that's where they would bury their dead. And right across the street, what you just mentioned, which is the airport, and that all of that right there was their village. That's where the Potawatomi lived. Right near to that farm and across from that farm. And so I've done the air zoo, and I think that may have added to some of the strange things going on there too. Is not just modern day hauntings. I think Beacon might be subject to that as well, because we had Native Americans traipsing up and down through there. And I'm sure that the David Smith, and I'm sure that the Cobbs were probably friendly with the natives. That you were better off by being that way with them back in the day before they were pushed out of Kalamazoo. You get along, you trade stuff with them. And then down the street, the other connection to that tribe, which is connected around the Beacon Club. It's just kind of a really cool little circle of historic, I think, haunted history, which I'm going to go start working the Bicentennial Park, because right there, they discovered a couple of years ago, right there on Portage Creek that runs through there, they found remains of a forge. So that means that the Potawatomi with I think it was the British, during the French and British Wars, Michigan hadn't been settled yet. People were encroaching and coming in. They were back there building weapons to push the white man out, with the friendship of the Brits. So that makes it interesting too. So I've had some weird experiences out there, but the Beacon Club is pretty special. And I think him maintaining, the historic value, which he really wants to do. He's put Evelyn and her husband's picture back up, as the presidents of
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. He's all about history. That's the same with the castle. And he also purchased Carrie Gilmore and W. Upjohn's mansion here on South Street. So
Ooh.
he's trying to save history as a businessman, but he's also trying to save history, and that was part of our talk too. That his integrity, and he had something happen recently that unfortunately happens in business, and I hate to hear that kind of thing happen. We're including some spyware and some different things that happened, and he's gonna recover. Everything is going to be fine, but
Good.
It's a great location. I love going there. I have access anytime I want, which again, I'm honored to have that.
That's
I can
awesome.
say, hey, can I come in
so
tonight?
cool.
He's like, yep, left the door open. Just make sure you lock it when you leave. You have to earn that trust. And I think other groups too.
Yeah.
There's other groups that have that trust with sites, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. But yeah, like you were saying before, it's definitely a lot of this field is who you know and who you've been nice to.
Who you've built that relationship with, and
I've maintained. I mean, some of the people have changed. Management has changed. We reconnected with the Air Zoo because other groups have been in since us, and there's still things happening there. But Kalamazoo itself, doing the castle and doing the State Theater and a couple other places downtown. There's some I can talk about. Some I told them I wouldn't. There's a lot of very historic places down there that they were the movers and shakers around the 1880s, 1890s. Henderson obviously being one of the bigger ball players, Angling and some of the other names that are known here in Kalamazoo. The Park Club. We were able to do the Park Club. We found the right manager who was open to it at the time because they had an employee who'd been working there for 20 years. Said, I am hearing a girl up here say my name, and we went in 2009 and we pulled stuff out of there. And it was funny because then subsequently they started running commercials about the haunting ghosts of Park Club. I'm just like, hey, that was us. We were there. So, but it's stuff like that. The State Theater is very haunted. I know that's some articles have been popping up. They're older articles, but I went in there with older management, and we had done it, I think, 2 days in a row. And this is 2009, 2010. And beautiful place. It's the Colonel Butterfield who built a bunch of those state theaters all over Michigan. Again, I love history. I know you guys love history, and they all look very similar. There's some in Illinois, there's some in Indiana, and they're vaudeville style theaters. They're very Romanesque or Greek-esque, I guess. If you go on the inside, there's statues. It's beautiful.
Right.
And we went in, and that's haunted like crazy. And the experience is there. I play several of those EVPs when I give lectures. In fact, when I'm with you girls at Frankenfest, I play a few of those, in the other room from the State Theater.
I think I've definitely heard a few because I pop in on you while you're giving your talk.
Yeah, like the one where it shushes us like very loudly while we're breaking down equipment.
Yeah.
And, so I've been lucky to do that, in the Park Club, and I want to again address I've been blessed by friendly people and the right people here, and then we started doing private investigations. So that's a whole other chapter of the book.
Yeah,
I don't know what book.
Sure.
I've only written one book here recently. We just released it. It's book 2 of Henderson Castle. Francois and I put it together.
Oh, we'll have to.
Surely.
I know, we didn't know that you released a book.
You didn't? I don't even know where it's at. You know what? Hang on a minute. Feel free to take up this time, even though I'm talking my fool head off. I apologize.
Oh, vamping.
Oh, it's fine.
It's kind of nice. Appreciate
bringing me back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I put them.
That's okay.
You can find it online. I think it's at Barnes and Noble too. And they got my name wrong. They're like, yeah, it's by Francois Moyer and Daniel Holroyd. It's like, my name isn't Daniel, but I'll take it. Press is press.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. As long as you can claim it as yours, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys have done some stuff, and I heard you when we were trying to get this fixed, that you were getting pictures ready for a book.
Yeah, we have our not so secret projects because I can't keep my mouth shut.
Me too. I'm like that too.
Yeah.
It is due at the end of February.
Cool.
The whole thing, the whole manuscript. In fact, the photos are due in 3 days, so I'm doing that.
Yeah,
cool.
get on that.
No. I've the last thing I'm waiting on is we're just not gonna get it because the MLive does not respond to emails apparently.
Yeah,
they're awful.
I did a coffee table book. I don't know if you want to go there, and I'm going to redo it because I was in a hurry to put it together. It's been out there for quite a few years. It's called Dead Places. And somebody has already taken my idea after the fact where I was when I was getting ready to retire, I took on delivering auto parts. And I want to tell anybody, if you're 50, don't do it. Okay. It may look like it's fun.
All right.
It didn't turn out to be fun.
Okay.
So, but
you got it. Don't do it.
Right. Don't do it. The travel time was great because I was all over Michigan, all over Indiana, and to Chicago once a week. And I was coming across, these abandoned farms and these abandoned houses, right?
Yeah.
So you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So I started just getting out, snapping pictures, and I started putting together. So this would make a great coffee table book, like this, this size. And I thought that'd be great, right? And then I put little, I guess, anecdotal little things with them that, like, I wonder if the family's still sitting around the dinner table, waiting for the crops, to grow.
Oh yeah.
Just to kind of be spooky and creepy. I did get some pictures of Traverse City before any of that was renovated or done. Only from the from the outside. That's when the fences were up. Yeah. And I had a couple people contribute. Deb Para and Tina Truex were also, they caught on and like, hey, I'm going to take some photos and give them to you to put in this book. So I want to redo it. Because the only hard copy that ever exists, because you can go online and get it, is Mike McKelly from the radio station here. He's since retired. He lives up the street. We're still friends. I gave it to him one year as a Christmas present.
That's incredible. Yes, you should absolutely redo that.
Well,
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, he was cool except for one part of the book because it had a picture of Scotty Budd and me together. And there was a falling out between him and Scotty. And he's like, really, man? Thanks so much. I'm like, hey, that's what friends are for, buddy. What friends do. But I am yours. Throw the questions.
Well, go, Krista, go. I don't know what we're talking about.
We've mentioned Henderson a few times, and I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Henderson Castle. Did people even know that we had a castle? Well,
this is, and I don't want people, I'm very cautious about not coming off as a narcissist or some, you know what I mean? Because us three have talked about this stuff in person, Yeah. And, I don't want to come off by saying some things. It's just, I don't want confidence to be mistaken or some things I say. Okay. I just want people to know that. I'm blessed. I was lucky to get in there because my wife knew the previous owner. It's an 1895 bed and breakfast. And I grew up sliding on the backside of that property down onto like Monroe Park and the other streets. And the person
it's got some
who
great hills.
It's got great hills, and they didn't have all the wine. Yeah, they didn't have all the grapes up there at the time. They, Dr. Jess Walker, his family are the ones who owned it at the time. This is mid to late 70s. And his kids are much older than us, and they went to the same schools, but we kind of knew them, but they're a lot older. Sure, and he'd chase us off because he's like, you guys are going to get hit by a car, which was true. And West Main is very dangerous. We were sliding out into West Main on a Sunday thinking, hey, nobody's out. And the dumbest things you can imagine. I don't know how my generation at 61, and I'm going to say it, we had metal Tonka trucks. There were no bike helmets, people. I don't know how we survived Light Bright. Anybody ever have that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I love my Light Bright.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So
Here, put this piece of paper in front of this very hot light bulb.
Exactly. I shorted out all the fuses in my house with that thing. That's a whole funny story. But it's the same. What I'm getting at is I always spent time outside around it. We always wondered what was in there. and it's had several owners, but it was built by Frank and Mary Henderson. Frank was a self-made man. What he would do is he would apprentice in all the businesses that were in town. Now, his family came from Syracuse, New York, and they lived in Dowagiac for a short period. They then moved into a house on South Street here in Kalamazoo. That house is gone. It was used for student housing for years, and they finally took it down. But he would buy into these things, and I think at a very young age, because he had two brothers and a couple sisters, and his father was very smart, and he was one of the original founders with another group of Kalamazoo. His father, Sylvanus, which is a cool name, he knew, the Taylors. The Taylors owned all the property from the bottom of West Main Hill all the way out to the Drake Farm. Drake Farm had already been settled, but he owned it all. Parts of Western, he sold that off or gave it to somebody where it became Western Michigan University and Kalamazoo College. Taylors owned it all. They owned all that, from all the historic homes up.
Jeez,
Taylor property.
Isn't
that nuts? Isn't that nuts? Because I had a lady go nuts on me. I just want to throw this in. She went nuts on me at one of these tours, and I'm all about feminism. Okay, I support women. I was raised by my mom, and women are strong. They're beautiful creatures, and I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's rear end. And she just lit me. I mean, we're talking, and she's like, well, it's just like a typical man. He went and married a woman and got all of her property and all of her money. And I'm like, whoa, hey, whoa. Whew. This is exactly what I did. I went, whoa, ma'am, whoa. I'm just doing a tour. This is just a historic tour. Yeah. And she is lit. She was lit. She's from Chicago, and her friends telling her she's all trying to shush her mouth, And everybody laughed. It was funny. And I said, no, did you not hear the part of the lecture at the house? Let me back up. I'll say it again.
And now, a word from our sponsors. A huge thank you to Chapters Tea and Coffee for sponsoring us this season. Their robust coffee and flavorful teas are keeping us going this busy spooky season. The Raven's Roast coffee is perfectly roasted, incredibly smooth, and when I handed the first cup to my husband, he took a sip and a look of pure bliss came over him. Krista and her husband made the Dream Within a Dream tea before bed, and they loved the well-balanced flavor and calming warmth of it. There are so many reasons to enjoy this brand. Chapters is local to Southeast Michigan. You can get all of their blends from drinkchapters.com. And they donate 5% of their net profits to Active Minds, the national leader for young adult mental health advocacy and suicide prevention. You'll fall in love with the art, the blends, the bookmarks. Do not wait to get your hands on these blends. Make the cold months warm and comfortable with Chapters, tea, and books. Again, that is drinkchapters.com. Thank you for sponsoring this season of Haunted Mitten.
Frank he was already a millionaire when he met Mary. And, this guy apprenticed with all these companies, and then he would buy them out. Residual income. He knew he had other business partners in Kalamazoo. All those people knew each other. The Gilmores, the Upjohns, they all knew each other.
They all did.
They did. So, he met her, he fell in love. They were very much in love. I tell the story at the tour. I'll share it here that one of the beautiful parts to their wedding was where the Presbyterian church stands down there. It's a new building now, but they did keep the circular stained glass that's in the top of the church itself. That is from the original building. When they were getting married on that very spot, it was warm, and they had opened it to let some air in. Sparrow flew in during the procession, circled both her and Frank, landed on the podium, and sat there while they did their vows until they were done, and then circled them again and left.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and then they had kids after that, They had 6 children. One died. Jenny, unfortunately, lived less, a year. And I can't find her burial site. It's the strangest thing. It could be that she's buried, Frank is buried on top of her. I'm not quite sure, but he had the daughters, and he had James, and James, died of an appendix burst in the 1900s. Yeah, because they couldn't fight sepsis back then.
No,
You can't.
yeah.
And I got his death certificate, and the girls are interesting in and of themselves too. Interesting people because they were married several times. Strong women like their mother. When Mary had something to say or something to take charge of, she did, and he pushed that. Before any of this women's voters' rights, and any of that kind of thing was going on, she was already doing it, and he promoted that. There were people that didn't like him for that, and it wasn't because of the money. It's just that she was that type of personality. So where I'm backtracking to is that when they got married, her father gave as a dowry to her and Frank that property on the west side. And after a couple of years, as the castle was nearing completion, in 1895, they started building it in 1888. So they had already had their kids. The children were preteens to adults. None of them lived there, small children.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a misconception, too. So they're already young adults or teenagers. And so he said, well, I'm going to open it up and sell plots of land up here for people to build their houses. Well, the city's like, well, okay, cool. We'll come up there and flatten it out. And he took a big pause and said, no, you're not going to come up here and flatten out. It's on a natural hill like he did with his home. It's a natural building site. And so he maintained that. And he said, well, then you're not having the land. And he won. So if you drive through the west side of Kalamazoo and it sprawls and it's beautiful up around there where all the mansions are, you can thank Frank Henderson for that. He won that. He kept that way.
Right.
And he became friends with many of the people who had homes up there. And the fence that's on the back of the property is going to be removed here soon. So anybody who's been there, they will know what I'm talking about, because his road used to go all the way through to the other side. And when they put a few houses back there, there was one person. She's passed away now. I guess she wasn't so nice. And now she's gone, and that's going to be coming down. The other neighbors are like, yeah, this should. And Francois has already said, yeah, I don't care if we make it drive through. It's for the betterment. So interesting people. But Frank only got to live in it till 1899. Very short time after completion. He had apoplexy. And that was their term for stroke.
Yeah.
I know all about that. So he had, if you look at a picture that I show in the lecture, there's a picture of him, because they also produced furniture. I want to back up to that too. They produced furniture, they produced luggage, wagons, anything like the Gilmores. They knew the Gilmores. They were doing commodities, and they had their own line of clothing. And he's in a picture, which I think is taken at the castle. They did a lot of their family portraits up there. He's got his hand in his coat. Now it looks like this hand, but we know it's a reverse picture. We know that for a fact.
Oh, okay.
And it would be this one. And if you look at his face, you can see the droop. There's a slight droop. So my assumption, being the person who's gone through it and who knows about it on that medical side, that I can tell that he's probably suffered one of the strokes. Took a photo. He's around that age. He's in his 40s. You can tell. He's looking dapper. And he dies shortly after from a second stroke, which took him. And as far as I can tell, historically, the only two people that have passed away in that home, now there's been some others, but I mean, people who owned the house, I'll tell you about that, why I said that here in a second, would be Frank and Mary. There's a lot of misinformation on people coming there on TikToks. There's groups coming there. There's people just, I'm going to investigate tonight. And they start telling, I hear their stories, and I'm like, that is incorrect. That's incorrect. That picture that people are circulating of that woman that's on the second floor, that is not Mary Henderson. We do not have any young photos or portraits of Mary, only older photos of her. We do have several of Frank in the house, but we have none of Mary.
Interesting.
Those are just period pieces that were picked up and put in the house to represent turn of the century type of stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Francois is thinking he's going to take it down because it gets misidentified. But
of course.
Beautiful home. All the woodwork in there is original. So this wasn't done somewhere else and brought to the house.
Mhm.
So building materials of the house itself are all Michigan materials. You're talking birch, pine, cedar. It's all because we were the king of the lumber industry here in Michigan for many years, and it's all brought from here. As far as Lake Superior, stone and shale, and different things that were used in the house, all from the Great Lakes.
Wow,
So
okay.
It's got that going for it. Yeah. And so stained glass in the house is all original. It survived the 1980 tornado. And there are some small things that people will find in there on the tour if you come see me, and I'll point them out to you as being Masonic. How do you know that, Dan? You ask. I hear you asking me. Okay. So
we come across it often enough that I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Right. I'm a Mason. So
yeah, all right.
I know. Yeah, I know. So I tell people he was a Mason in Kalamazoo. He was a lot of things. He was in the Odd Fellows, Knights Templar.
Okay.
I'll probably be joining those guys here soon. So it's interesting. I don't know where he found time to have kids. All the stuff he was doing. But you know who's just like this man when you think about that and all the things he was involved in, all these businesses, and I'll talk about how he merged with Ames here in a second. Is Francois does the same thing. He's running all these businesses and he's just constantly going, burning the candle at both ends. I don't know how he does it. He's French. So then Frank, before he died, he merged with this Ames Corporation, came to him out of Chicago, and they were doing banners and uniforms and swords and anything regalia, anything you can think of. So this is way before Frank's death. So about a year before, in 1898, we had the Spanish-American War going on.
Right.
And his son, James, joined up as a volunteer, as did another person by the name of Claire Burley, who I talk extensively about on my lecture because I ran into Claire's spirit. I think we put him to rest. And they were in same unit but different company. They both mustered out of Kalamazoo, and we found out in research that Frank hand presented that unit a flag that was made by the Henderson Ames Company. So if you want to talk about another weird connection, that would be it. And what I mean by that is I was doing other investigations, after doing that and still doing that. I've been working that castle for 18 years this year.
Yeah.
So I'd go to other places in Michigan and I'd find out, well, they knew Frank Henderson. What? How is that possible? Right. Yeah. And it would lead right back to Frank Henderson. It was the strangest damn thing. And it even gets stranger now. I got to tell you, I'm exclusively telling you this because we've been thinking about this, my wife and I grew up next to the damn place. Little did I know here later on in life, I'd be investigating it, and getting so involved with it, not just not just ghost wise, but I take a personal interest in Frank marrying the kids. I do. I care about the dead just as much as I do the living. If I'm going to say anything.
Yeah, it's your place. You can definitely say that you have some kind of
Francois made me and Eve honorary, I guess, ambassadors is what he says. We're ambassadors of the house. That's a big responsibility.
That's incredible.
Good or bad, So it's
good.
It's got its moments.
Go with good.
As the lady, the lady with like, wait a minute, it's got moments. I've had some crazies on the tour, the drunk people out of Chicago. It is what it is. But,
I love that it's always the drunk people out of Chicago.
Oh, they're always Chicago people. No joke, but back to that. Yeah, it's always wandered back to the Henderson family. I did an investigation in Schoolcraft just south of here, and a guy has had it in his family for 80 plus years, about 89 years. And I got looking back to, again, I do research. I look at who owned the land, what was there first. I don't just go in and ghost hunt, folks. I looking into this. We are investigations. This is what I do, because if I'm going to be giving you all the facts and probably sometimes nothing but the facts, like you guys do with your research, you want to have some of the stuff right. You know,
definitely.
Other people might know and they'll call you out on it. They have no whim about calling you out on it.
Oh yeah.
We all know about that too. So it's I find out that the person who was renting the farm to this person's family, and then they ended up buying it eventually, was Harriet Henderson, Frank's sister. Frank's sister. And I'm like, this is just getting stranger. And so it's kind of lulled, but we discovered in 23 that there have been no less than 30 twins, including Francois. He's got a twin brother. This is where it gets weird, as if I wasn't already. That there have been 30 plus twins that have either had interaction there or worked at the castle. And that's in recent times. Now, the only person prior to that is Stifelbergen. He owned the house, and he had twin daughters, but they died at birth. And we were able to finally find them. They're off Riverview Street, and they're in an unmarked cemetery away from their parents. This is something the hospitals did. It's really sad. Catherine is the only name they gave. We talked to the sexton that runs that particular cemetery, and they have records of that stuff. And she was very helpful. I want to give her a shout out. I'm not going to tell her name, but she's saddened by a lot of that, because there's a huge section up there that's a pauper, and there's hundreds of people buried there. And I told her about an experience there in connection to that Tina Truax and I were up there in the summer of 2011, just doing some stuff, checking out some headstones. And I was looking at Tina when she felt somebody touch her hair, and I watched her hair go up in the air, and then it dropped, and we happened to be right in the middle of all the pauper stuff. So it's Henderson holds a special place for me. I can't talk about it enough. And if anybody wants to come out, we do haunted dinners there, and for the price, you guys know, up where you're at and the other side of the state, if you go to these haunted events, they're charging $100-$200, sometimes more, right? I think we're pretty affordable at $98 to get a 3-course meal. I give you a lecture because, you see, I like to talk, but I show you things. I have video, I have audio. I tour you through the house, and if the weather is agreeable, we take walks through the cemetery, and I take you over to meet Frank and Mary, because they're buried on a hill looking right at the house. That was in his will. He believed in the afterlife. So there it is. So that's all I know about Henderson. I got more, but I'll save some of that for later.
No, that sounds great, and it's a super reasonable price. Kristen, you have done the Whitney.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you do the? Have
we
you
did
done
the Whitney.
Actual?
I want to do the Whitney.
We haven't done the tour. Some friends of ours did.
Like
we went there for our
dinner tour thing.
Yeah, we just went there for our anniversary dinner, which was expensive enough.
That would be Paranormal, right?
I'm not sure.
I think I talked to them. Yeah, they run events there. And they're like, you guys got to come up. Like, I can't afford your rates, man. That's a little too. That's another thing too. I've only paid to play one time, and that was the LST 393 in Muskegon, and that's because I knew the director. I knew what they were doing with the museum, and we did that 6 years straight. It was our team getaway, and he would turn the hot water on for the girls, because God forbid they can't have showers for 3 effing days, I don't know. It was just became a thing.
It
and
happens,
then they're like, you need to go.
Sometimes you just need a shower.
Oh, well, then they're like, well, you need to go through with a broom because there's spiders everywhere. It's like, it's a damn museum. I don't care.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so we got to stay on it, and that's haunted too. So people go to the 393 in Muskegon, okay? This is Michigan, right? I'm telling people. Go to the 393, check it out. I don't know if they're open to, doing investigations too much anymore, but who knows? Also, I did the Silverside in 2000, I can't remember, 8, maybe in 9. That's also haunted like no one's business, and they openly talk about that too.
Nice.
there's been other groups that have been there. So you can pay money on the submarine with a group of people and spend the night. It's heated all year round.
That would be
and
fun.
It's pretty cool. It's the most decorated World War II submarine still in the water.
That would be terrifying and so much fun.
Those cots are short. I'm 6'2".
No,
those cots are short, man. I don't know
Greg
how
would
those
have a
guys
hard time.
I won't fit.
They had up to 80 people in there, right? And I'm like, can you imagine the body smell?
I would not. I could, but I don't want to.
The body funk alone. They didn't have deodorant like we do now.
Yep.
No. Krista, anywhere like I don't know anything in Kalamazoo except for Western, so
we covered a couple.
I mean, we did this was like 14 years ago. We did that JC's tour and just downtown.
Oh, we did.
You know what? I promote that. That is the best Kalamazoo haunted tour. That's the only one I will promote. Period. Now you heard it from me.
That's the only one I know.
Yeah, I'm like,
this was back, I think, in 2010.
Yeah, they still do.
We did it in 2010.
It's Coats for Kids type of deal. You know, the JCs put the money back into the community. And,
right.
You know, and I with another person gave them a lot of information on the tour. So when you guys, walk some of those buildings and like the State Theater and stuff, that's our stuff, and I gladly gave it to them. And I'm not here to say anything negative, but there's another one that exists, and I don't promote that. But I would say the JCs, if anybody out there, guys, help them out every year because they're doing a lot of great work here in the community. That's why I ring the bell with the Ghostbusters every Christmas. Been doing that 13 years. Oh, okay. And I know that in the past they had a black eye over some things that director had been removed a long time ago. But they helped us out in the community when we needed help, and that's why I raised money because I know where the money's going.
Yeah,
right. And that's why I help. I try not to be political with a lot of things that I involve myself into, but that's one that I really believe in is Salvation Army. I was there. I saw where it goes. I know that they help people across the board. And I've had discussions with the commander, over some past indiscretions and some things I didn't agree with. Because I got weird about that too. It's like, well, you guys said you weren't supporting this and supporting that. And he's like,
right.
So that person was removed, and we're still trying to heal from that,
Oh,
and I'm like, good.
Yeah.
They're progressively trying to make a big difference. And
good.
I've tried to tell a couple of my people that too, because they were, politically they didn't want to help. How did I get on that? We're here to talk ghost stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm trying to think back, because I know they talked about the Civic Theater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I knew some people who acted in shows there. So I've seen a few shows there.
As did I. And I recently read articles from people who performed there in early days. Mm-hmm. And I forget the ghost's name. They think it's a woman.
Okay. Yes. And shoot. I can't remember either.
They admitted that they did this as kind of a gag and a party thing. But having done that, other things started to happen. So
it happens.
It happens with any theater.
It's
right. And people have passed away that have performed there. So it would stand to reason that, and I've asked to go in. I have kindly been told no. More or less kindly been told. No,
sure.
More or less. Okay. We'll let you guys decipher that.
Sure.
And I was not out to disprove anything. I just wanted to see what had gone on. I told them I had been in the State Theater. I have done I've recently done a theater in Sturgis, which is very old and haunted. And wow, that's God. If I come on again for another show, if I have you guys on, I'd love to talk about that. I have never been a witness to something so damn crazy in my life. So, so I've done a different theaters. When I was in Sing Out, we did the Calumet Theater in Calumet, Michigan.
Yeah, we've been there.
We have been
there. It was said to be haunted. So we heard the story about the people being crushed to death on the back staircase, and our sound equipment went weird. And I had an experience on the back stairs, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So I believe this summer I told my wife we're going to make a trip up there, and I'm going to, because I've already talked to some people. They said, yeah, you can come in. We'd love to have you come in, maybe film and do whatever you want to do. So that's a big one for me. I've done the little barn theater that's in Niles, or not Niles, but Buchanan. Buchanan.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's a tiny theater in there, and I met two guys that started Michigan Ghostbusters, and they allowed me to come in because they were managing it, and it had been used during, what was it, the typhoid fever breakout, because they had a big factory in that area at the time. I forget what the factory was, and it had made so many people sick and die. That's where they were housing the sick and the dying, was in that theater space. And so I've done that theater, and I will tell you that place is crazy too. Very crazy. I had seat going up and down by themselves on camera.
Oh,
There's nobody in there. So yeah, I'm hard case to believe some of that stuff, but when I know no one's in there, I'm just like, it's a little strange, right? It's a little strange. You're like, what's going on?
A little bit.
I look to do some more stuff here in Michigan to branch out. We've done a slew of cemeteries. I have a list, and people wouldn't think that there's a lot going on in cemeteries, but there are. And I've always asked, I've always asked this question: why are you hanging out in the cemetery when obviously we have cases that we've worked where we've not only made contact at that person's grave, but then we seem to be talking to them at their home, which is miles away.
Oh, totally.
So I'm assuming you can travel. So why are you hanging out there?
It's nice.
Is it connected because, is it a connection because the body is whole and it's in the grave, as some of the paranormal people think? Because they don't seem to come across that when people have been, the ashes and whatnot. So, but I can't say that because I think I had a run-in with my mom and she was cremated. So that, for me, put that theory kind of out the window.
Yeah, my friend saw, or her grandmother saw her grandfather walk into the closet after he'd passed, and that was where they kept the ashes.
Oh, geez. Yeah. It happens. And I see you have cats. We talked about that. And I've seen ghost animals. People have asked me about that.
Oh, yeah.
I think when we first did the farm in Delton, this is when the group was first starting out, I went out with a group. I'm the fourth person in the group. And I don't know what Amy had for a car. I think it was a Peugeot. I could barely get in and out of this thing, and there's four of us in this dinky thing. And we had promised to come out to this lady's place in Delton, and there was a blizzard. Literally, there was a snowstorm going on.
No.
And she's like, well, this car will get through the snow. We can make it. I got good snow tires. And I'm like, we get stuck. There's going to be murder. I'm going to create ghosts on this trip. So I went out there with them. I know better. I went out there. We barely made it up her driveway.
Oh, God.
Because she has a horse paddock to the left of the driveway, because she rents it out to people to put the horses in. But she couldn't keep people in renting this house and staying there longer than 6 months. And so she heard us on, RKR and said, could you guys come check it out? And I'm going to tell you, for the 2.5 years we worked this place, craziness. And even Scotty Bud Melvin went out. He's in our group as a loose investigator. He's a radio person on this side of the state, and we were out there, and just crazy things. Crazy things. Well, when we pulled up, we all saw this big black dog. I mean, pretty good sized dog. Probably maybe 4.5 foot, big dog.
Okay.
And he's got white on his chest, and he's coming through the snow from around the back of the house. And I see the inside of the house. There's light flickering because there's no electricity or nothing in this house, by the way. It's a farmhouse. All she had was a wood burning stove going for us. Which made it very easy for investigating. Because,
but it did.
all the outside elements were removed. So everybody in the car tells me to get out first because, I'm good with pets. I'm good with dogs. I'm like, not if it attacks me and bites me.
Right. So, you're like, great. Thank you for giving me the sacrifice.
Yep.
Right. Great.
I'm the big guy. Maybe the dog will be afraid of me. I get out to be nice. And as I open the door, and I'm blocked just momentarily for the door.
Yeah.
I see them doing this in the car, and then I turn and look. The dog is gone. And Becky comes to the door. This is the homeowner. And she goes, "Oh, Dan, I'm so glad you made it." And she says, "Everything okay?" And I go, "Is your dog friendly?" And she's like, "What dog? This is how it goes down." And I go, "The big black dog with the fur." And she's like, "That dog is dead. It's been buried a year behind the house."
Oh.
And I was speechless, and I'm telling everybody, "Get the F out of the car." I did use that language. This is going to be a good investigation. And she said only one other person has seen that dog, but we saw things in the house that we can't explain. And I often talk about the Delton house as one of the most haunted places I had truly been. And when we left, I couldn't leave the house fast enough because we felt that the negative entity that was there was a gentleman by the name of Patrick, who shot his brother over the property early on when they owned the property. He then had his niece come live with him, and she became the school teacher in Delton. And there was a picture of her. Becky had found this little book they did about the history of Delton. And there was a picture of her in the very room we were standing at her piano, because Patrick had gotten sick and died, and she took over the property. And the lady that Becky had purchased it from came here from Chicago with her husband. Again, the Chicago connection. And she hated every minute of it. And the first week we were here, he dropped dead in the front yard by mowing the lawn.
Whoa.
And so, this is in 1919. She was quite old when Becky bought it from her. And how she made a living was renting boats out there on the lake and baking bread for local places in town. And she did some what would you call it? Crocheting and things like that to make a living. And she was 96 or something like that when Becky purchased it from her a year before we came in. And she was still alive when we were going there. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I thought I saw a woman upstairs in the main bedroom just for a couple seconds, and I don't lightly tell those stories either, with a stern look on her face, like, "What am I doing in her bedroom?" One of those type of things.
Right.
And I'm just here doing my thing, ma'am.
That would be inappropriate.
Don't follow me home. None of that business. But that's just one of many. But Kalamazoo, as you wanted to hear about, as part of the story, it has such an array of businesses. I've been in warehouses here through my security work here in town. I did want to briefly mention that for 12 years through a company, I worked at a place called Graphic Packaging here, which is the major paper company that's on the Kalamazoo River. And it was over 150 years old, two of the buildings that I was going into when I worked there. And I would work nights. My shifts would change, and I would work nights, and I would go in there, and without permission from the boss, because they kind of looked down on that. Because believe it or not, paper and corporate, they're very funny about espionage and weird stuff like that going on.
Weird. Yeah.
Weird.
Strange
Crazy,
of them to be.
So, but I took a camera in there, and I had a buddy who was into it, and we had some experiences in there. And then I discovered through doing research that literally on our yard over the railroad tracks were the bridges on the Kalamazoo River. And Krista, I think you know where that section of town is, right? There's the paper company that stinks really bad, and there's that water treatment thing right there on the river. Well, where those two water treatment vats sit, that's where the original fur trading cabin was. And they had people, you'd get on a log raft, and then they do the rope thing to get you across the river, because that went all the way down around. It's still, it's still there in order for you to get into Kalamazoo till they put the other two bridges in. And we would go out there at night and just sit and think we would hear strange things. And
absolutely
crazy building. Yeah. Doors opening and closing in front of us. I had a 50-pound bench slide behind us. And I don't remember really what happened between the time we heard it, because I was being the jerk. I was doing the whole Zach Bagans thing where I wasn't like really calling it out, but I'm like, hey, you don't have to hide. I did say coward. You don't have to be a coward. And I know, right? I turned my back and I hear, eep, and that's this bench. And the next thing I know, me and Sean were on the steps trying to make our way up out the door. And I realized, how did I get on the steps? I was moving that fast.
Oh my gosh.
And that changed my mind that day, because I never believed people were being pushed and shoved and people thrown around. And I was like, oh yeah. And I just got pushed. I got pushed this spring down in Cassopolis on a live video. So I'm...
Wow.
And I'm a big guy, and I was a little off balance anyway, but I felt somebody's hand on my shoulder, and they kind of pushed me over slightly. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, all right, thanks.
Okay.
I see you here, man.
Yep.
It's fun doing this work. You know, I try to be very neutral. I try to be kind, like I'm coming in someone's living room.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
I only say things now like an emotional value to try to get a reaction. You know, like, did you have children? Did you raise children here? Even simple things like, what's your favorite food? And we've gotten answers. I use a ghost box, an old Radio Shack. You guys have seen it. And I either get good stuff on there or I get a headache because it sounds so horrible after about 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's hard to take for long periods of time, especially if you're not getting anything and you're just like, and I have a migraine, so I'm done. We're done with this for now.
Yep.
Yeah, we just did our first investigation ever in October at the Riverside Art Center
we led,
here in Ypsi. We were their first ever investigation. It was part of a silent auction that we were doing for the theater group that we work for. And of course, like, I if you would only talk to me, I would say not a damn thing happened. But if you talk to Krista's husband, Greg, who I have now affectionately termed Bait, he got experienced a couple things, and
that's funny.
It's very exciting. But yeah, it was our very first investigation ever.
Theater, good old theater.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And one, it's like two buildings that have kind of been joined together, and the one side was the Masonic Temple for a very long time.
Very cool. Yeah.
And where the theater in there is now, it was a community theater back then too. And then the top floors, which they just recently renovated, were where they did the actual, like, secret stuff. The bottom, I guess,
all of your Masonic things.
Yeah. The bottom two floors, I guess, were
it's more transparent now,
like
than ever
open
was,
to the community.
Yes,
and then the top two floors were private.
Yeah,
just the Masons were allowed.
Yeah, we still have closed business and closed stuff, but we welcome people to come in to watch us open lodge. And when I've had Tommy and Randy into 2 different lodges, and I'm going to do some more Masonic lodges. I do a false opening. You know, we can show people that. It's just a society with secrets. And if it was nefarious, I wouldn't belong to it. I tell everybody that. Had there been anything weird going on, I love watching these docu-series and these conspiracy things. I'm like, listen, I don't know if they're aware, but there are different sects, not sex, okay? Sects with a T. Everybody get that? So there's different versions of Masonic, and we frown on that. We do not get along with those folks. We're the Blue Lodge, and the Blue Lodge is the oldest out of Europe, and we trace our stuff. You know, I can talk about this. We trace our stuff all the way back to the temple of King Solomon and a lot of the teaching and the stuff. And we're not a religion, but the reason that we don't take atheists is very simple, is because we want somebody to, you can say that you believe in a higher power, Thor, or I believe in Thor. We're good with that. We just want people to acknowledge that you're this and there's a higher power that created you.
Right.
If you don't want to be there, then you're not going to go along with a lot of the things that we do. Just a short information for folks watching. There is a lot of charity work involved with what we do, and there are people with money, but there's people like me too. And there is no damn treasure cave, because I would not have lived in a damn gated community in a trailer. Okay, I would be stealing diamonds. It wouldn't have happened. It doesn't happen. Okay, I don't know where they're coming, but there are things that are, like the skull and bones and different things that we talk about that stuff, and we're just like, hey, we're not connected, with a lot of this thing. And I think people's perception is that we are. But we do have mystic classes, because a lot of us do believe in the hereafter. again, not being a religion, but it's fun because I've been asked to speak these a couple times in the work that I do, and I tell the brothers, it's like, man, I've been invited to do the Grand Rapids Temple. There's another guy that I'm a brother with that he's kind of beat me to it. But I've done Fort Wayne, which is it's humongous. It's got 13 and a half floors. There's a hidden floor. And we had Wheezy from Ghost Hunters there years ago. And he was screwing around with one of the skulls and the teeth fell out, and he's like, and then one of the brothers came in and said, yeah, you're not supposed to be touching that.
Yeah, you're not. What are you doing?
What are you doing? And he's like, oh. And so I found that funny. And then he came into a room where I was, and I was sitting. I wasn't a Mason yet, and I was sitting into the Worshipful Master's chair, and you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, am I going to get beat up or murdered or something? And he's like, well, it's only you and me. But then he took pictures. I'm like, well, don't share that on. Don't be sharing that. So
now they're gonna come after me.
Right. Yeah, it's been fun. I watched Tommy they had a camera on a pedestal, which we call the brother, in the West, and I watched it being pushed, and it was shoved off one of the pedestals right in front of me.
Oh wow!
And I heard people walk in this building. It went up in 1960. It's not that old. Yeah,
but that doesn't seem to matter too much when it comes to spirits and things.
Because we've had brothers that built that place. A lot of them, most of that generation, they're passed away.
Right.
And I think I'm probably the third or fourth oldest in there now. But it's very interesting, for enlightenment and the things that you learn. But paranormal wise, what else can I tell you about Kalamazoo?
Yeah, I've heard that people have seen apparitions in Bronson Park.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was kind of there's the mound there. I know.
It used to be called Church Square. When Kalamazoo was built.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It's like, look at these churches there.
Hell yeah, it does. Right.
I went to the Methodist church there, was our church for a long time.
Yeah, you remember the one on the corner? The corner church across from the Kalamazoo Institute of Arts?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Really?
Ripped it out. They could have reused it and saved it, but they could not get any clergy, and they're like, yeah, we're going to tear it down. So, Kalamazoo, we'll put something else in there. But as you pointed out, Krista, it was the square of churches. We had so many churches in this town. It's ridiculous.
So many.
There's still so many, and I'm just like, every couple of blocks there's a church.
Well,
I'm like,
it is West Michigan.
Yeah, how does this speak to the sin in Kalamazoo? That's what I want to ask people. What's going on? I mean, literally 2 blocks down there's a church. 2 blocks this way there's a church. 3 blocks that way there's a church, and it is still it's actually insane, but it does it begs to a lot of activity there. They have that Indian burial mound. Now there's been a lot of discussion about it, but it is it's protected. There's been a fight going on behind the scenes about whether Western removed artifacts or not back in the day. I'm inclined to believe they probably did, because a lot of things were going on 40s, 50s. That, what are you going to do?
We've had the same problem here, same time period. With U of M taking things from.
Oh yeah. Even though I'm go blue, man. Go blue. Sorry, go blue.
Sure, why not?
Me too. Go blue.
Sure, what the hell?
Yeah, I told my Sparty friends, next year, man. Next year, you guys got a chance in hell. I don't know what. So then it progresses into a scene where the park, Abraham Lincoln was there on his election tour the very year that he won his first election. Which then sparked the Civil War. There's been other things that have transposed on those grounds with famous people, and so I think it lends. Now, if you were to go a few blocks over, and it used to be called Pioneer Park, it's no longer. They've changed the sign. There's a famous octagonal house which sits there, and it's right down the street from Old Central High School, and that was the Pioneer Cemetery. There's still 150 bodies remaining in that ground.
Of course there are.
Because they were given a directive that you needed to move your family over to Mount Everest across from the castle, and not everybody made the bus trip. Apparently, they didn't get the memo. And plus, a lot of families died off or they moved away, so they just let them overgrow. I have worked that. And I can tell you, Krista, I think that's haunted. The homeless will not sleep in there at night on those benches. They will tell you why.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we went in there on several Sunday nights as quiet as we could because traffic does lull down to a little bit. And knowing that, but I got an EVP I'm going to have to send to you. I want you to listen to it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear this, but we hear this. We hear, help me.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, why does that sound like wood and someone saying, help me?
Right.
We were a little creeped out. And then we had a ball of light on the ground that Denise Gowan took a picture of. And there's some leaves, but there's nothing shiny there. We took several photos. We could not reproduce it. So I think we're onto something. The only reason that we went there is because Krista Robinette, who's a friend of mine, Christy was trying to help me backtrack a thing from the castle when I first had a run in with Claire. And it took a year to find out that it was Claire Burley. That's a whole other story about the Spanish-American War guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, you have a cemetery in the middle of your town, and I think there's a connection or something. So I went there, and at first I didn't think there was, but then when I was able to retrieve a list of names, and there's not you know how this history thing goes, there's not an accurate list of who was removed and who wasn't. Because why would they want people to know that?
Yeah.
So, taking a guess, there were several Taylor relatives and Henderson relatives that were buried there. So I'm like, what in the fudge cakes? So it's that's rather unique. It's still a very cool place. Like Bronson too. If you get a quiet Sunday night, that's part of, I think, both those Kalamazoo tours. You can go down there if the homeless aren't in the park, because you might see some crazies and think, is it haunted?
Or
we work
student drunken.
Danny, we work in a library. Like, we're fine.
Oh yeah, you are. Yes,
and the downtown Kalamazoo branch is right there as well. I bet they see some things.
Yeah, that is funny that you say that. I was just making that observation not too long ago. It's like, why do all the weirdos hang out at the library and the damn park?
Yep.
It's a warm place to go. They can be in there all day. No one's going to bother them. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel terrible. I feel terrible about that. But there is some humor in it, But,
we have to find humor in it, or else we'll just be really, really depressed about the state of,
right. Do you feel like you guys have a target on you too? You guys have a target on your shirt? Like,
sometimes.
Come talk to me.
Yeah.
Come talk to me. That's me and my wife. We're like, why do they always spot us in a store?
Yes.
I'm in the middle of Walmart, and they're like, I'm going to go talk to Dan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had a guy just walk up to me. He's like, oh, man, my team got blew out because I was wearing a Michigan scarf. And he was as special as could be. I'm like, well, maybe next year, man. I tried to walk on, like, conversation's over, but he followed me around the store for 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
My wife's like, who's that guy? You know him? I'm like, no, I don't know. No. I do now.
Yeah.
I know him now.
Know everything
about him. His name is Randy. Yep. So it's the spice of life. It takes all kinds to make the world go round, and I think watching some of that too made me question my sanity, because I'm like, some of the things he says or he does, I wonder if I do those when I'm at home alone. I think I do.
That? Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife said that she thinks I have a slight degree of Tourette's, which I agree. Because she's like, you yawn, you make noises, you make weird noises at the dog, you're doing weird things. Why do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Like here, talking so much. She's like, you start in the car the minute I'm on a trip with you. There's times I don't want to be on a trip with you. And I'm like, well, because there's one thing I cannot stand is if there's two of us in the car and no one is talking, if I can't put on a podcast, then I got to talk.
That's my husband's kind of like that. I mean, my husband's a performer, so
yeah. Well,
he's into theater.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
he does. He's written quite a few plays actually that they've done, so he's more interested in that end. But he's been in a few as well.
I've done that. I did that in high school. Murder most foul, my friend. Yeah, I've done some theater in my day. I played a professor a couple times, and more of a comedic role, believe that or not. But
what? No. Yeah. So, if there was anything else, if there was like, what amazing, you have thing on your shoulder. If there was any one last thing you wanted to talk about, definitely tell people where they can find you.
Self-promotion.
This is about you, my friend. Go for it.
In your bedroom at night in the corner.
Dang.
That should probably edit that part out. Yeah, I don't want hate mail. And if you do send hate mail, send it to Mike McKelly at WRKR 1077. It's still a running gag. We used to do that for years. And he never got it.
Favorite radio station.
Yeah, Stephanie Bishop got it one time, and she's like, some crazy guy sent us a bunch of stuff.
Love that.
You can find me at Southern Michigan Paranormals on Facebook, or my network at Unrestricted Paranormal.com, which you will find these ladies. Their show will be up there. Anything they run and they record, including this, all the new stuff. I'll be hard at work here within the next week or so, getting that organized, and you are on a page under podcasts, and you can find me there. We've renamed our podcast Paranormal Notebook.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a co-host, Drew from Living Histories Mysteries. We're going to have different people we've had in the past. Michelle Freed will come on, and Michelle's been at events. But we got Ghostorama coming up here very soon, May 11th, at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That is a very famous location. And we got Keith Age from Children of the Grave from Sci-Fi. I've known Keith for years. He's going to be a special guest. Anthony Snyder. They'll be there talking, and we'll do one at the Beacon Club June 15th. But that's the places you can find us. And right here, I guess, if you have me back on anytime.
Yeah, we would love to. Absolutely.
When I don't have a haunting on my laptop, I don't know what's going on. So we'll figure it out.
I don't know. Technology.
It is. It's crazy.
Whatever.
Craziness. But
my husband's not ready to have our house gated for demons. So
you should.
Yeah.
You should. Go to hendersoncastle.com and you can find my haunted tours too. Please do that.
Sweet deal.
And
I
told these two, I'm telling all of you out here who are listening, watching, whatever it may be, that they have been invited, with their partners, that if they come down, you're my guest. You can I'll get you a dinner. You can do the tour. We can take pictures and have fun.
My mom really wants to do it. My mom was excited when I told her.
We are absolutely coming this year.
Yeah, come down and then we'll have a couple drinks afterwards,
Awesome.
Irish whiskey makes for a lot of fun.
Well, you got my husband just on
mine
that.
Too.
That's all you needed. Yeah.
Well, come down and see me.
Yeah, we will. We promise.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure this year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what a good ending. Beautiful.
There's the bear. That's my son. That's my son, Paul. I know he's huge.
Hi, Paul. You're on a podcast.
He's on a podcast. So we're going to go out and enjoy a hockey game. And I want to thank everybody for the birthday wishes. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it so much.
I'll see you at the next event.
All right. Yes, definitely.
Which I'm going to send one your way, which is coming up very soon. And if you want a table, I can work it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're always down. Yeah.
All right. I'll send it to you, girls. All right. No worries.
Cool. All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 We're back here to talk to you about Lynn B Designs. Not only do they have the best nail polish to rival even those most expensive nail polishes you see on Instagram, but they have stickers, wax melts, shirts, everything cute and adorable and definitely ready for this fall season. So be sure to check out this vegan, cruelty-free brand. You will love them as much as we do. Check out Lynn B Designs monthly sales. They are fantastic. I am going to go look at some right now. Thanks.